This is the last installment of us looking into DDD Pendulum support that we could get when Arc 5 gets released. If you don't already know, DDDs are a very relevant deck to Pendulum summons and on Arc 5 in general, and it is very likely that we get some Pendulum support for the DD archetype because there is just so much of it that exists. I can't imagine a world where we don't see at least some of it. So I've been going through and just finding out more and more about these cards, kind of like giving my opinions on what I think is cool, what I think isn't that great, and things that we might see. This should be the last part of it because we've covered about 2/3, like I think there's 20 something Pendulum cards. We've covered like 2/3 of them, so this is the last shout. This is the last hurrah. Let's see if we find anything else that blows my mind like we did on the last installment. There was a card called Laplace that was just chef's kiss. It was beautiful. So I'm gonna be, normally when I do these videos, I read the cards in advance and I concoct my opinions and know how I'm feeling, but there were just so many cards in this archetype that I am literally reading them on the fly with you and learning about them as we go along. So I'm basically reacting to them with you, and you can react to them with me because that's what friends do. All right, let's go. DDD Eulogy King Vice Record. I almost read that as Rice. I might be mildly dyslexic. Anyway, it's a level 8 card with a scale of 8. Okay, that's interesting. Its pendulum effect is you can target any number of dark contact cards you control, destroy them. Ooh, spicy. And if you do special summon this card from your pendulum zone, ooh, spicy. Then you can increase or reduce this card's level by the number of cards, just ooh, spicy. So that means it's good for fusions. You can use it for XZ summons. You can use it for synchro summons by modulating your level. That's pretty, I'll be honest, that's kind of fire. That's a unique, I like experiencing unique gimmicks that are kind of like, hey, yo, what is this guy doing? Like, what's on his fit right now? I like this a lot. What's your monster effect? You cannot special summon monsters except DDD monsters. Okay, if you say so, Chief. A DDD monster that was fusion, synchro, or XYZ or link summoned using, we can't get this card. God damn it. I mean, I was right in saying that you would use this card and its level modulation potential for like extending into other things, but I'm not even gonna bother reading the rest of the effect. It has Link in the name. The reason why we can't get this card is because it has Link in the name, because the Link summons aren't here yet. So it's just gonna have, I highly doubt, I can't think of many, if there are any instances where Konami has given us cards that have like a summoning mechanic that we don't currently have access to. Like, I feel like that's part of why we don't currently have all of the Yosenju support, because there are some good Yosenju cards that aren't even Pendulum monsters that just include the name Pendulum, and we don't have them, right? So I don't think, if I read the rest of it, I'm gonna make myself sad. What does the rest of it say? Using this card on the field. So a DDD monster that was fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon using this card on the field gains the following effect. Once per turn, you can target one card on the field, shuffle one dark contract card from your field or graveyard into the deck, and if you do, destroy that target and gain 1,000 life points. That's not bad. It's not crazy, but the point is, it's not something that you had to try to do, because the process of how we got here was, as its pendulum effect, you destroyed your dark contract cards, brought it onto the field, modulated its level, then you went into another monster that has its own effect and its own purpose on the field, and this card is a gift that just kept on giving, because then it let you shuffle the dark contract that you just destroyed back into your deck so you can use it some more. You got to destroy one of your opponent's cards, so they're going -1, and you got to gain some life points. Quite frankly, you gain just enough life points to survive some of your own effect damage. So this is if only, bro. Don't get your hopes up for this one. I'm sorry I read that to you. I really like this card. 9 out of 10. Let's keep it moving. DDD Oblivion King Abyss Rack. Who named these cards, bro? It's a level 8 monster with a scale of 5. Its pendulum effect is if you summon a DD monster except during the damage step, you can target one DD monster in your graveyard. Okay. Any battle damage your opponent takes becomes half for the rest of this turn, and special summon that monster. Okay. And take 1,000 damage. Why? It was going so well until it wasn't. You can only use this effect once per turn, so that's fair enough, I guess. So if you special summon a DD monster, you basically get to special summon another DD monster and pay 1,000 life points, but you will have a hard time OTKing since all the damage your opponent is going to take is half. But DDDs can get some massive numbers on the field, like 6k monsters on the field, so maybe that won't even be that big of a problem. Let's see what else you do. What's your monster effect? If this card is normal or special summon, so if it gets pendulum summoned, you can target one DDD monster in your graveyard, special summon. Hey, yo, Chief, that's kind of spicy. You can only use this effect once per turn, And then also, once per turn, you contribute one other DD monster, target one monster your opponent controls, and banish it. This card is fire. This card has special summons for days, and it's disrupting my opponent, and we can extend into other things. I think I like its monster effects more than I like its its pendulum effect. And also it has a scale of 5. Ew. Oh, you would have been so close to a 10 out of 10. I give you an 8.5, lingering on a 9 potentially, but that scale is too bad. I'm sorry. Everything about its effect I like, but a scale of 5 is just so right down the middle that it's just so annoying. Have wide scales. Give me options, my guy. You were so close to being beautiful. Moving on. You're ugly now. DDD Rebel King Leonidas. I love that name. I hope you have a good effect. It's got a level of 7, a scale of 3, so not bad on either front. Pendulum effect, when you take effect damage, you can destroy this card, and if you do any effect that would inflict damage to a player increases their life points by the same amount. Yo, there is a specific fusion monster that DDDs have that does this exact thing, but this is basically just a spell card, so you don't even have to bother going into that monster. Just activate this as a spell card, and it's got a decent scale. You are looking fabulous right now. What's your monster effect? When you take effect damage, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand and gain LP equal to the effect damage you took. Bro, and while this card is on the field, you take no effect damage, bro. This card is fire. How much attack? It's got 2,600 attack. It's a beefy boy. I like this card. I like this card a lot. And quite frankly, it doesn't seem unrealistic because again, we have a fusion monster that would basically do this exact same thing. This is just better in every way than that card. It's a direct upgrade. DDD Rebel King Leonidas, I think, is one of the most realistic DDD cards that I would like to see. I could see this being a UR or an SR, quite frankly. So I'm hopeful for this one. I actually very, very, very much like that card. You're spicy. All right, next. This is what I was talking about. This is what I meant. DDD Super Doom King Bright Armageddon. This is one of the, I did not know that pendulum monsters could be synchro monsters at the same time until I looked at this card. When I first compiled this list all the way back in episode 1, I saw this and I was like, what the actual hell? Where would this card even go? Does this go in the extra deck or is it in your main deck? It would probably be in your extra deck actually, because it's a synchro monster first and a pendulum monster second, I guess. So it would go in your extra deck. You can synchro it out, but then how would you ever get it to be? How would you ever get to put it in your pendulum zone to use its pendulum effect if you can't draw it to your hand? That seems, you know what, questions for later. Tell me down in the comments because I actually have no idea. Let's read its pendulum effect. Ooh, it's got a scale of 1? That's sick. How would I get you in the pendulum zone, my guy? You have 3,500. You know what? I'm gonna read its effects. Pendulum effect. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target one DDD synchro monster you control. Destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible with defense less than or equal to the targeted monster's attack. And if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. It's gonna be half. It's gonna be 500. But like, it doesn't say it has to be a different one than this card. So let's say you have a DDD Super Doom King. Jesus, what is your name? DDD Super Doom King Bright Armageddon on the field, and you have one of these in the pendulum zone. Any monster your opponent has that has less than 3,500 attack is getting destroyed. If they have 3 monsters on the field, boom, they're all gone. This doesn't seem to be targeted, which means you just did 1,500 points of damage. And your opponent has a clear field. Now, what to me, this boggles the mind. I don't think we're gonna get this card already, just reading that effect, because that is powerful, but also it's combining 2 mechanics, which I think would be very confusing because I'm confused, and I've done some research into pendulums, but like a Duel Links player who's never seen pendulums would be so confused by this. I'm confused by this, and so I don't think we would get this soon, but if we did, bro, that's actually kind of scary. What would you do against this in a 4,000 life point meta? This is well, actually, I don't know how you get this card on the field. If I knew how to get you on the field, you'd be a 10 out of 10, because I don't know, I can't say that, and I haven't even read your monster effect. Hold on. 1 DD tuner plus 1 non-tuner DDD monster. So those are the summoning requirements. So it is a synchro monster. So this would be in your extra deck, but then how do I get you in the pendulum zone then? Your opponent cannot target monsters you control with call. Yeah, we're never getting this card. I'm not reading the rest of this. I'm not reading the rest of this video. No, I'm sorry. I apologize for showing you this card because I've confused you and me with this. We're never getting this card. Goodbye. We're moving on. We're moving on. So this again is a case of a pendulum monster that's in XYZ monster this time, right? DDD Super Doom King Dark Armageddon. Your names are ridiculous. I don't know how I would get you in the pendulum zone, but you've got a scale of 1, which is really good. Once per turn, if you have a DD card in your other pendulum zone, special summon one DDD XYZ monster from your extra deck, except this one. So that we don't have any other DDD XYZ monsters, so like that's kind of irrelevant, but if we did, that would be pretty damn fire and relatively easy to achieve depending on how you get this card in the pendulum zone. What's your monster effect? So it takes 2 level 8 DDD monsters, cannot be pendulum summoned, obviously it's an XYZ card. When this card is XYZ summoned, you can attach one face-up DD pendulum monster from your extra deck to this card, okay. Pendulum monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's not as bad as not being able to be targeted, so that's fair enough. But then you couldn't, how do you, that would apply to pendulum monsters in the face of pendulum zone. So that means you can infinitely pendulum someone without ever being worried about being destroyed. But we have Cosmic Cyclone, so that's actually not so bad. Okay, once per turn, you can attach one material from this card and target one monster your opponent controls equal to the number, No, target monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of pendulum monsters you control. Destroy them. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your so that's how I get you in the pendulum zone. You have to be destroyed. Okay, good. That makes sense. So I know how to get you in the pendulum zone now. That I'm happy about that at least. That is a fire effect. I mean, see, here's the thing. Again, with it being a combination of various mechanics, it might be a bit too advanced to give us like right off the bat. Because like as we've recently learned, Konami does not think much of our skill as Yu-Gi-Oh players over here at Duel Links. So I don't know. I personally, I'm leaning towards us not getting this card, but it is just interesting to see how versatile and unique and like diverse this archetype is. Jeez. DDD Super Doom King Purple. I want to slap some. Who named these, bro? A scale of 1, a level of 10, just like the other ones we've looked at that are like multiple archetypes. This is a fusion monster and a pendulum monster at the same time. I'm guessing just like with the XYZ one, if this card gets destroyed, it goes into the pendulum zone. Let me see. Yep, if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, place this card in your pendulum zone if you would like to, right? So that's how you get it in the pendulum zone. So fair enough. Its pendulum effect is once per turn before damage calculation, if your DDD fusion monster battles an opponent's monster, make that opponent's monster lose 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. That is very, very balanced. That's not crazy in my opinion. I don't mind that in the slightest. What's your monster effect? It takes 2 DDD. This is the most reasonable one to get out in my opinion. It takes 2 DDD monsters, and as a fusion summon, it can be from your hand, it can probably be from your graveyard or your field. You can target one attack position monster your opponent controls, destroy it, fair enough, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half its original attack, so that might be a quarter of its original attack, okay. You can only use this effect of DDD Super Doom, I'm not reading your name again. Before damage calculation, if an opponent's monster battles, you can make its attack become equal to its original attack until the end of the damage step. That's just like a reset on your opponent's attack, so they can't boost up their attack or anything. That's actually really, really good. This is so balanced. This is so freaking balanced. I would summon this card onto the field just so it would get destroyed and I can use it as a pendulum monster every turn, right? Like this is, to be honest, this is the one combination card that I think actually has potential to come out. But I say potential. Remember, everything that I talk about in these videos is complete speculation. I'm just having a bit of fun and reacting to these cards with you. I would love to see something like this in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Alright, so I think there's only one more Pendulum DDD card that we have not looked at together, and that is DDD Super Sight King Zero Maxwell. I need to go punch a wall after reading all of these card names. Its scale is 4, so I hate you already. What's your Pendulum effect? You can target one face-up monster on the field, change its defense to 0 until the end of the turn. What? You can only use this effect once per turn. Okay. What's your monster effect? Before damage calculation, if this card attacked an opponent's defense position monster, change the defense of the monster to 0 until the and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. This is mediocre. Like I'm being too hard on it. I'm being too hard on it. But like all that gas just to have a scale of 4 and do like piercing. Oh wow! See, this card does piercing damage, but it's not giving your other monsters piercing damage. So if it's in the pendulum zone and it changes your opponent's defense to 0, cool. How do they pierce it? How do they even get them into defense position? Like yeah. What a way to end. What a way to go out. DDDs. And with that being the case, I can see us getting this card. Yeah, I've talked about so many cards. I don't really know. I think maybe like there's at least half of these cards that I think are actually reasonable for us to get in Arc 5 relatively, maybe not early on, but like soon enough that wow, that was, did you hear that stutter? That, I'm gonna leave that in. That was one of the most disgusting stutters I've had while recording like a video. Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, like there are some of these that I think are realistic to at least dream about and think about now, like about half of them. Some of them more so than others. Some of them are just a dream that will never come true, but you hate to see it, I guess. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed reacting and learning about some of the DDD pendulum support that exists out there with me. After hearing about all of the pendulum monsters, which ones do you think we'll actually get? Which ones do you think are the most relevant? Which ones did you think were the most fun? Thank you very much for watching. I don't know if I said that already. Have a great day and goodbye, friends.